Hey Han, I'm Chloe and this is the Bird's Nest or Marley tutorial. My mission is to share my passion for pole dancing and make pole dancing easy to learn and accessible. This is the 29th video of the intermediate pole trick tutorial series. In order to maximize your training out of all the videos, I highly recommend you to start from the very first video of this playlist, as the tricks will be a progression of the video before. The Bird's Nest or the Marley is a very pretty trick. Your prerequisite of this move is to be able to do an invert, bottom hand and viva, cupid, and also your maxi, so make sure you watch those tutorials before you start this one. This video is mirrored for your ease of learning. I'll have a red wristband on both of my right limbs to indicate the right side of my body if you do get confused of the directions. This trick tutorial is created for you for informational and educational purposes only, and for you to enjoy learning pole dancing from the comfort of your own home. Please participate at your own risk and don't work beyond your capability, and seek help or spotting when necessary. For any health concerns, please make sure to seek professional medical advice. Please make sure you warm up your body before you start this video. I have a warm-up depending on your level under each playlist so that you can try it before you do the trick. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up so that I know to create more of these kinds of videos, and consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet so that you are notified every single time I upload a video. If you're looking to further your pole journey in combining tricks and dance together, then consider subscribing to my online learning platform Pole Art Vault, where you'll be learning a dance and combos, learning an entire routine. For more information, you can find the link in the description below. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into the Bird's Nest or Marley tutorial. Alrighty, now let's get into our conditioning. Now we're going to be going through two conditioning exercises today. The first one is going to help you allow to get into a fuller extension in that back leg when you are grabbing the leg in the Marley. So let's try this from our standing position where we grab the pole with our inside hand at shoulder height. Then you're going to start grabbing your back leg by firstly bending your knee. So keep your knees together, bend that leg, then you're gonna grab your back foot. Now, once you grab your back foot, you can either grab it with your thumb facing towards you or thumb facing away from you. This is totally up to you. I'm gonna grab from the inside, so my thumb facing away. Now from there, you're going to start kicking into your hand as you lift your knee backwards, and see if you can lift the leg and kick. And you're going to come down. Well done. Now, I'm gonna give you another option where you grab your leg a little bit higher to get more of an extension by using your oblique. Now, if you've got a really good side bend or oblique bend, this might work well for you, and also if you've got a really great hip extension. Now, if you're finding this a little bit too much, feel free to use the other variation where you grab your foot or your ankle, and this is still gonna have the same effect or just a different sort of shape. So you can either grab your shin and extend, kick into your hand, or you can grab your ankle or your foot and kick into your hand and lift. Good, well done. Let's try this on the other side. So grabbing the pole just around shoulder height, you're gonna keep your knees together, kick that back leg. You can either turn your palm away or in. I'm gonna turn my palm away. Then from there, you're gonna start lifting that knee up, so squeeze your glute. Start lifting that knee up, kick into your hand. Well, I just did contortion before this, so I am very, very warm. Or you can grab underneath, so just on your shin, and kick and lift. Well done. So, if you want a fuller extension in your Bird's Nest or the Marley, remember to keep working on these exercises on both sides. Now, if you want to stretch a little bit more, make sure you do maybe 2-3 more on each side, holding each side for about 20 seconds if you can. Otherwise, we are going to work on our hamstring strength this time. So the second conditioning exercise is going to be consistent of our hip flexors and also through our hamstring engagement. Now this is very similar to essentially a Cupid that we've done in the past, but this is going to be from the floor. Now make sure that your pole is on static, and we're going to try this together. So you're going to place your outside foot nice and close to the base, so you're pressing your foot onto the pole. Now from there, you're going to hook your inside knee at hip height. Now you're going to see if you can take your hands off. You're gonna thrust your hip forward as you squeeze that heel towards your booty. And then you're gonna press your hip back. Then squeeze your hip forward, press that booty, squeeze, 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 and then you're gonna come back down. Last one, press that hip forward, squeeze your hip forward, pull that heel towards your booty, and coming out. Ooh, well done. Oh my gosh, that felt really crappy. All right, let's try that on the other side. Grab the pole just around shoulder height, outside foot on the pole. Inside leg hooks around hip height. You're gonna thrust your hip forward, squeeze your booty, pull that heel towards your booty, and press back. Two more, thrust that hip forward, squeeze that heel towards your booty, and back. Remember, engage your core as you press that hip, engage your core, press your hip, squeeze, squeeze, then come down. Well done. And there you have it, that's all your conditioning done. Alrighty, now let's get into our bird's nest or Marley. This is what it looks like. First leg variation. Second leg variation. All right, so let's break this one down. Now the first leg variation is where I pulled my leg, thumb facing towards me, and just kicked into the hand. Now the second one, I turned my palm away and wrapped my hand all the way around my shin and did that extension where I use my obliques. So remember that this is gonna depend on your flexibility, what you prefer more in terms of your shape. So try different shapes and also hand positions as well. Now, when I showed you just then, I was spinning backwards with my right armpit on the pole. So we're gonna try spinning forward and backwards on both sides. Now this is totally up to you and what you prefer in terms of the spin, but I find spinning backwards easier because you're essentially going with the momentum as you grab your leg. If you spin forward, you're essentially going against the momentum, so it becomes a little bit harder to grab the leg, but again, totally up to you and what your preference is in terms of spinning forward and backwards. Now, if you haven't watched the invert tutorial where I teach you how to spin forwards and backwards, make sure you watch that one before attempting this one. So we're coming into a spinning backwards invert, then you're going to grab your foot. Now, once you grab your foot, key point here is to start getting your hip into extension and turn your hip away. So you're gonna feel like there's a little bit of a grip change as you keep your knee hooked on the pole. Now from there, you're going to either grab your foot. The first one I'm gonna do, I'm gonna turn my thumb towards me as I grab my heel or the foot. This is totally up to you. So remember, I'm thinking of overhand grip and then grabbing the foot. Then from there, you're gonna turn down to the floor, look down to the floor, and extend into position. In terms of your exit, you can just come out as if you're doing a leg hang or a bottom hand Aviva or Jamila, up to you. So, I'm going to go into a backward spinning invert in my right armpit. Outside knee hook. From there, I'm gonna reach and grab my ankle. If you need to, you can reach both of your hands above, grab your ankle. Now from there, you're going to start grabbing the foot, catch the pole with your bottom hand, thrust your hip forward and get your hip in extension. From there, thumb facing towards you, kick into your hand, and there you have it. To come out, come back into your bottom hand Aviva, and I'm gonna Jamila and step out. Well done. Now let's try it on the other side, but this time I'm going to spin forwards. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you spin forward, I find it a little bit trickier, but it's totally up to you and what your preference is. So, on the other side, I'm gonna spin forward into my outside knee hook. So, spinning forward, outside knee hook. I'm gonna reach and grab my heel straight away. Start sliding your bottom hand into a pistol grip, thrust your hip forward, pull that leg. Open your chest. Now this time, I'm gonna get my hands, thumb facing away from me and kick. To come out, keep that leg extension, squeeze that leg, come into your Jamila, or you can come out from an outside leg hang. Well done. So there you have it. There is your bird's nest or Marley on both sides, spinning forward and backwards. Alrighty, so let's go through some tips and common mistakes. Now this one is a hamstring and hip killer. This is quite intense. Now the first thing is your rotation through the hip. Now this is probably the trickiest part because you need to start sort of sliding your bottom hand down and get your hip in extension at the same time, which is a very similar move that we've done in the maxi. If you haven't done the maxi or the bird, please make sure you watch that one before you attempt this one, because if you don't understand the engagement in the maxi, it's really hard for you to do this one. And the maxi will lay a solid foundation for you to understand the hip rotation. So essentially, when you're going into it initially, your hip will be in flexion. So you're pressing your hip into your thigh. Now, when you're going into the move, once you grab your ankle, your goal is to, from your hip touching your thigh, get the hip in extension. So you're turning your hip away as you open your chest down to the floor. I forgot that the pole was on spin. So remember that if you're doing this on the pole right now, you might want to put the pole on static. So once you hook the leg, make sure that you're turning your hip away and open your hip down to the floor. And this is why the bird's nest might feel a little bit scarier than the other moves, is because there's a slight change in your grip in the hooked knee. So rather than your knee just hooking the same direction, you're going to have to turn your knee slightly down, and that's probably why it feels a little bit scarier. So just keep that in mind while you do this move. Now remember that the lower you do the move, the easier it is, and you have a little bit more, you'll feel a little bit more safe doing it low. So make sure that you start really low while you do any of the moves. Make sure that you lay a crash mat down if you need to. Grab some pillows. I have like this really thick blanket, so if I'm scared of moves, I usually just lie it down. So please feel free to do that while you learn the move, and start really low. So you can always start from a knee hook. So you can come into, if you remember doing a standing knee hook way back when, you can start from here and then try understanding the engagement down on the floor here. So you can see that I'm stacking my hands underneath, grabbing the ankle and then turning down to the floor. Now, I know that this move is painful. Remember that with any painful moves, you might not get it the first day, but usually if you either do it the second or third day, it definitely does get better. So make sure that you keep working on them and try training them every few days, and then that way your skin gets used to it. Then you can start focusing on the actual move. Remember that pain response usually won't allow you to think very clearly. So just keep that in mind while you train this one. Now, if you feel like you don't have any grip, please make sure you grip up for this one, because you're gonna need a lot of grip. So let's just talk through the grip points. So your initial grip points are gonna be both of your hands, your knee as well, but it's also your hip or the top of your quad. So remember that when you're getting into position, you're going to essentially be in a bottom hand viva position, which is your bottom hip. Now from there, when you get into that extension, you're still pressing your hip or your top of your quad onto the pole. So make sure that you grip up the top of the quad. And that'll help you with the grip as well. Now, ultimately, when you want to lock yourself fully into the move, you have to turn your chest down to the floor. And that's probably the scariest part of it, which I totally understand. But remember, you have to open your chest, turn your chest and your hip down to the floor to get that full extension. Now, once you hit that full extension, this is when you start stylizing your move and making your back bend look even prettier. So remember, if you want to get into a full extension through your back, open your chest and arch your back and look down to the floor. So you're really elongating the side of your neck to get that full extension and making it look very pretty. So once you come into your move, here, make sure you're opening your chest, squeeze your shoulder blades together, look down to the floor. Then you can grab that leg. And that is how you stylize the bird's nest and the Marley. Remember, if you are struggling with grip, make sure that you get something drying if you have sweaty skin. And if you have really dry skin, get something really tacky on your skin so that you can grip onto the pole better. If you struggle with knee grip and thigh grip like I do, these sticky leggings, it's been amazing. Today, my skin has been feeling really dry, so I put my leggings on and I was just good to go. Well done. So that is all your tips and common mistakes. Now, today's training tip is going to be around flexibility. Now, I know what you're thinking. You might find that flexibility is not as fun, it's not as exciting. I have a little tip for you if you do want to start working on your flexibility and making it really fun. Now, in order to make this fun, I want you to think about what makes you enjoy movement or pole. For me, I like pole because of the creativity. I like pole because of the community. And I also like pole because of dancing. So that means that these three things, I want to carry it into my flexibility training as well. So that means that including community, meaning I train with others, I train with an instructor, I train at a studio. If you are training at home, you might want to find an online class that's suited for you and your flexibility. So that's my first point. Now, my second point is dancing. So that means that if I want to incorporate dancing in my flexibility, I'm going to incorporate a little bit more movement through my flexibility. So rather than doing static moves, I'm going to dance through my flexibility. So let's say, for example, I want to work on my leg extension, then I'm going to dance the leg extension rather than just pulsing. So let's say, for example, I'm going to do leg waves. And I might even start moving my hand with it. And this, if I'm going in full range, I'm already working on flexibility. So that's something to keep in mind as well. My last point was around creativity. So that means I would like to create some of these flexibility exercises, or maybe fall into a shape that I like, create different shapes. So that is why when it comes to flexibility, I'm not always just learning from others, but I want to create my own exercises to feel accomplished and also create new shapes that make me feel really pretty. So remember that flexibility is everyone's own journey and you might have a different purpose. So make sure you find that thing that ticks you and keep working on that flexibility and make it just enjoyable for you as well. Thank you so much for joining me in the Bird's Nest or Marley tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I shall see you in the very next tutorial. Bye! So, having said that, they're killing a fly right now. The suspense. Yeah, that's it. Get it. Get it, get it, get it. Get it!